Welcome to the Word for Life podcast, a daily devotional covering the entire Bible from Genesis to Revelation.
Even today, nations take a census of their people for various reasons. In chapter 26, we read about the census taken of Israel. If you remember, the first census of Israel was taken in chapters 1 to 4 of Numbers, but it was of the original generation of Israel who came out of Egypt. Now, that Exodus generation is dead. This census recorded in chapter 26 is of the next generation. God wants Moses to take another census after the plague. In verse 1 and 2 we read, "After the plague, the Lord said to Moses and Eleazar son of Aaron the priest, take a census of the whole Israelite community by families, all those 20 years old or more who are able to serve in the army of Israel." So, these are the descendants of those who came out of Egypt. If we compare the first and the second census, we will find out that there is not much of a difference in numbers between the two generations. Even though all of them from the original generation, except Joshua and Caleb, died in the wilderness, yet the number of Israelites was more or less the same. This shows the faithfulness of God to Abraham. God promised Abraham that his descendants will be like the stars of the sky. Even though the original descendants who came from Egypt had sinned against the Lord and had all died in the wilderness, yet God maintained the numbers, yet God blessed them numerically. This is how God is faithful to his people, even though they turned out to be rebels. However, verse 8 to 11 recalls the story of chapter 16, where Dathan and Abiram rebelled against Moses and died. In verse 10 we read, "The earth opened its mouth and swallowed them, along with Korah, whose followers died when the fire devoured the 250 men, and they served as a warning sign." But notice in verse 11 we read, "The line of Korah, however, did not die out." Perhaps even though Korah rebelled against the Lord, some of his children did not stand with him in support, and therefore they did not die along with Korah. Interestingly, if you read the book of Psalms, we will see a lot of psalms written by the sons of Korah. Friends, even in judgment, God is merciful and gracious. So the children of Korah still survive, and they write psalms which are recorded in the book of Psalms. And if you read some of the psalms of the sons of Korah, they wrote about the tabernacle of the Lord. In Numbers 16, their ancestor Korah rebelled against the priesthood of Aaron, and they rebelled at the doorway of the tabernacle. But for example, if you read Psalm 42, verse 1 onwards, the sons of Korah wrote, "As the deer pants for the streams of water, so my soul pants for you, my God. My soul thirsts for God, for the living God. When can I go and meet with God?" The sons of Korah talked about how they earned for the presence of God. Psalm 84 is another beautiful psalm written by the sons of Korah. From verse 1 we read, "How lovely is your dwelling place, Lord Almighty! My soul earns, even faints, for the courts of the Lord. My heart and my flesh cry out for the living God. Even the sparrow has found a home, and the swallow a nest for herself, where she may have her young, a place near your altar, Lord Almighty, my King and my God. Blessed are those who dwell in your house, they are ever praising you. Yes, of course, the ancestor rebelled against the Lord and his priest, but his children found grace in God. Coming back to Numbers chapter 26, we see in verse 14 that the tribe of Simeon is only 22,200. But if you compare this with chapter 1 of Numbers and verse 23, they were earlier 59,300. Perhaps this was the tribe which was involved in the sin at Shittim and therefore were decimated by the plague. We are not sure, but the tribe of Simeon had lost a lot of people. But in verse 19, we read about Er and Onan, the children of Judah, who also died, and they did not have any descendants. Yet, verse 22 records the tribe of Judah had 76,500 people. This means this is the largest tribe. How was it possible? In Genesis 49, we read about a blessing on the tribe of Judah. And this only shows that blessing came to pass. We all know that from this tribe came King David, and the greatest king, Jesus, came from this tribe. Again, we see God's mercy and grace on the descendants. Finally, from verse 52 onwards, we are given the reason why the census was needed. Verse 53 talks about the land that is to be allotted to the Israelites based on the number of names. Verse 54 says, "To a larger group, give a larger inheritance, and to a smaller group, a smaller one. Each tribe is to receive its inheritance according to the number of those listed." So this census will help the Israelites to divide the land in a fair way. And when we read finally in verse 63, the second reason for the census is given. And that reason is to warn Israelites about God's judgment. From verse 63 we read, "These are the ones counted by Moses and Eleazar the priest when they counted the Israelites on the plains of Moab by the Jordan across from Jericho." Verse 64, "Not one of them was among those counted by Moses and Aaron the priest when they counted the Israelites in the desert of Sinai. For the Lord had told those Israelites they would surely die in the wilderness, and not one of them was left except Caleb son of Jephunneh and Joshua son of Nun." Friends, this census told the new generation of Israelites that the Lord's judgment had actually come true. Therefore, as they prepared to move into Canaan, this served as a warning. Friends, even today, God's judgment comes true, and therefore we know that we serve a faithful God and a just God.
Thanks for listening. We'll see you tomorrow for the next episode of the Word for Life podcast.